everyone. Today we're going to continue with our commitment to practice yoga at least on a weekly basis. And remember that the videos are available for the duration of the whole 6-week period, so you could revisit even more often than that if you have the time and desire to do that. So our commitment is actually just to being present with ourselves and doing simple yoga movements with our breathing. And just notice that the first step, of course, is your awareness, and then you have to bring the breath into that, and then that's after that, when those two things are available to you, then you can start the movements of yoga. So just come into a comfortable seat of your choice, and the most effective way I have of becoming present is to actually physically put my hands on my heart and just see if this works for you. Lower your eyes and just get a sense of your own human touch over your own heart. And just focus your next few breaths right into that area under your hands. And just have a sense of really breathing into that space. And have a sense of your breathing, which that is what makes you alive. So that life force of your breath, really get a sense of that. Becoming aware that you're inhaling, and becoming fully aware that you're exhaling. And just a few breaths is all it takes. So you can put your hands down when you're ready and just notice if that has made any small shift in your sense of presence with yourself. And continuing on with that, get a little sense of your own alignment and your spinal alignment. You want to start probably from the ground up, and so get a sense of your sits bones pressing down along the floor. And then against that pressure, you can build a little bit of length through your spine. And I like to think of an imaginary line from my pelvic floor all the way to the crown of my head. And just see if that works for you as well. So you get a sense of the line from the pelvic floor to the crown of the head, and you're just trying to lengthen that line just a little bit. Lovely. And then after forming a sense of alignment, see if you can create any sort of relaxation around that. So a lot of times you may be feeling a little tension in your shoulders, in your jaw, in your throat, or even around the tummy area, and just see if you can keep your alignment, but have a little sense of relaxation as well. And just be with yourself for a few more breaths, and now focus a little more deeply on your breathing, so that when you inhale, you are really inflating as fully as you can. You feel an expansion in a 3-dimensional way, all through from the upper chest all the way down. As far as you can go comfortably. And when you exhale, you get a sense of release. So you're not straining. If you are straining, please just have a little reboot with that and just allow the breath to leave the body. And continue the exhale as long as you can comfortably. And just slip your eyes open now and continue those long, slow breaths throughout the practice. And whenever you forget, of course, you're just going to bring the awareness back to your breathing when you've realized that you've lost that awareness. So from here, let's just let our hands slide off our lap to the sides of the body, turning the palms outward. We're going to inhale and breathe up. Feel that lovely lengthening in the whole of your spine when you do that. As long as you're comfortable, can you interlock your hands and push the palms of the hands towards the ceiling? So now you're feeling not only just in the spine, but you're even feeling it all the way from the shoulder and the armpit joint, all the way up through the palms of the hands, that lovely lengthening. And when you're ready to let go, maybe hold a breath or two, but when you're ready to let go, just start to soften on the exhale. Feel the shoulders soften, the elbows soften, letting the hands go. And then just bringing the arms back down, big semicircle here, all the way back down in front of the heart. Namaste, welcome again. So let's now come onto our backs, and we'll be here for just a few minutes. You're going to come all the way down to the floor, nice and slow and easy, holding the abdominal core nice and firm as you do that. And when you come to the floor, put your arms over your head, have a nice full frontal stretch. As you inhale, and when you exhale, you can gather the knees closer in towards the body, wrap your arms right around the legs, and maybe bring your chin towards the chest. And as you complete that exhale, you're making a nice tight little bowl of your body. And then when you inhale, let's stretch it right back out again. Feel that lovely length. Best stretch you've had all day. And then as you exhale, let's gather it back in again. Chin towards the chest if that's comfortable, and just bring those thighs as close into the body as it feels comfortable for you. Lovely. And then inhale, and let's stretch out one more time. And then as you exhale, left leg, left knee raises up, and you're going to capture that knee right in your interlocked hands. Continue that exhale so the thigh comes all the way in towards the body. And see if you can spread your awareness into both legs so that the right leg that's along the floor is getting even longer. You're focusing on energetically lengthening that leg. And as you exhale, you're bringing the left thigh in towards the body. Lovely. And then the next time you inhale, stretch the left leg up, press out through the heel, and just feel the lengthening in the back of the leg. And as you exhale next, you're bringing that left leg to the floor. And then you're bringing the right thigh in, interlocking your hands just above that right shin, and drawing the right knee in towards the body as much as is comfortable. Just notice all those sensations. And then see, can you spread your awareness into the left leg as well, and just begin to lengthen a little more through that left leg. Every time you exhale, you're thinking about bringing the right knee just a little closer in. And just feel the effects of that very simple movement in the whole of your body, particularly in the back body. And then inhale, stretch the right leg up and press out through the sole of the foot, feeling the stretch in the whole back of the right leg. And then as you exhale, nice and slow, you're going to bring that right leg to the floor, real firmness in your abdominal core. Very good. And let's go ahead and bring both knees up towards the ceiling, and the feet are off the floor here, and bring your arms right behind your neck and just interlock nice and loosely there. Let it feel good. If you need to wiggle around a little bit, that's absolutely fine. And from this position, just bring your shins parallel with the floor and the ceiling. At first, the knee joint is stacked right over the hip joint. And just do your lovely abdominal core breathing where you're exhaling and you're bringing the navel closer to the spine. Hip points come closer together and you feel the pubic bone curl a little in and up. Make sure that's happening and you can really feel it. When you inhale, you can let go a bit. But when you exhale, reestablish a really firm abdominal core strength there. When you feel like you've got that, and you can allow 2 or 3 breaths to really set it up, I want you to challenge it just a little bit by bringing the knee joint just a little further ahead from the hip joint. And you'll feel the challenge right away. You really want to make sure that abdominal core is engaged. And just a little added assurance here. Let the low back really press into the floor nice and firmly so that there is contact of the low back onto the back of the floor. And you want to just bring those knees as forward as you can, feeling the challenge, but don't go too far. Just make sure you feel that you can still hold that abdominal core strength nice and firmly. That is lovely. And then let's bring the knees right back in and the thighs a little closer in towards the body. And let those thighs separate. Just go side to side just a little bit. Little tiny movement. Let's do that one more time. Bringing the knees above the hip joints and the shins parallel. Establish that firm abdominal core control. And the low back is pressed into the floor. And then just slowly let those knee joints go forward of the hip joints. And you're still feeling the firmness in your abdominal core as you find that point of challenge for yourself. Remember, when you're holding this and you breathe in, you have to still hold the abdominal core firm. So whenever you're doing abdominal work like this, you have to just do chest breathing when you're inhaling. And if you can hold it for 3 to 5 breaths, that's great. And then let's bring it back. Take your hands away and put your hands right on top of the knees and let the thighs separate nice and wide and just rock a little bit side to side. Great. And let's go ahead and put the soles of the feet on the floor. Let's just do a little movement now with breath and a little counter movement for our spine and abdominal core. So as you inhale, you bring the arms right back over the head, press into the feet and raise your hips. Press into those heels as much as you can. Lift your hips as much as you can. And slowly as you exhale, leave the arms where they are and just lower your spine and your hips back to the floor on the exhale. On the inhale, you're lifting the hips back up again by pressing into the feet as high as you can. And on your next exhale, you're lowering both hips and the arms to the floor. Inhaling, hips and arms rise back up again. And you're trying to go as high as you can with the hips comfortably. And you'll need to use your feet, really ground into your heels as you lift. As you exhale, leave your arms high above your head and just lower your spine to the floor. Keep that exhale going as long as you can. And when you need to inhale again, you're going to lift the hips back up again. And on the exhale, slowly lower arms and hips back to the floor. One more time, as you inhale, both hips and arms rise up. Just take that breath and the movement to its limit for yourself. As you exhale, you're lowering the spine to the floor. You might feel a little challenge in your shoulder joint when you do that. All the way Let that exhale complete. And when you're ready to inhale, you're raising the hips back up again, rooting right into your heels so you can get your hips as high as you can. And as you exhale, both arms and hips come back to the floor. Lovely. And then raise both knees towards the shoulders, and let the shins and the feet press towards the ceiling. You can put your hands right in the backs of your knees if you'd like, and just try to gather those knees as close towards your armpits as you can, and let the toes separate. Little version of happy baby here. The idea is to really feel the broadening in your low back, so see if you can feel that. Lovely. Maybe a little movement side to side. Excellent. And then just cross at the ankles and maybe rock and roll on your spine a little bit. For whatever reason, if that doesn't feel good to you, you don't have to do it. You can just come up to the side. And we're all going to end up now in a tabletop position. So however you'd like to come to this point is absolutely fine. When you first get to the tabletop position, turn your fingers back towards your knees. Just have a little stretch in the forearms. Tiny little rocking motion. Just feel that lovely stretch in the forearm. After a few breaths, when you've had enough, you'll just flip one hand back and then the other. Just have a little cat-cow movement now. Make sure you're set up so you feel your inner hands. As you inhale, you're pressing into those inner hands, raising the sternum, raising your tailbone. And as you exhale, that little opposing movement of cat stretch, rounding the spine, bringing that navel close in towards the spine. Just a couple more times like that on your own breathing. And the next time you inhale, just come into a neutral tabletop position. And as you exhale, let your hips come back towards your heels. You can place the forearms on the floor. Come all the way back as low as you can. Just let those hips nestle back as far as they can. Relax your head and neck. As you inhale, you're lifting back up again. Find your inner hands. Lift your heart slightly. As you exhale, a little side bend as the right shoulders and right hips try to come a little closer together, and you're looking right back towards the right. As you inhale, back to the center position, find your inner hands, lift your heart. As you exhale, you're going over to the left and a little side bend. And inhaling, pressing into the inner hands and lifting your breastbone. As you exhale, sinking the hips back towards the heels and placing the elbows right on the floor. And remember, let your low back relax, let your neck relax. Just for that moment as you complete the exhale thoroughly. And then you can inhale and come right back up again, pressing into the inner hands, lifting your heart. As you exhale, come over to the right in a little side bend. As you inhale, back to center. As you exhale, over to the left in your side bend. And as you inhale, right back to center. Little lift in your sternum. And exhaling, releasing back down. Let it feel really good here. Let your breath be long and slow, and it guides the movement. As you inhale, you're lifting back up and rising up in your chest, looking forward as you exhale into your side bend to the right. Inhale to center and exhale over to the left. And inhale to center. And when you get there, just bring your hands one hand length further ahead, flex your toes under, and let's push into a downward facing dog. So you want to perfect your downward facing dog as much as you can. Depending on where you are, you might need just a little pedaling out. If you feel a little tight through the calves, go ahead and do that. The idea is to straighten the legs as much as you can comfortably. Remember that the most important part of downward facing dog is lengthening in the spine. So you never want to sacrifice that lengthening of the spine for no bend in the knee. It's actually better to have a bend in the knee and a really long spine. And only if your spine is long do you want to start straightening the knees. Lovely. And as you inhale next, we're going to come right into a plank pose. So you're making sure that the arm and shoulder is integrating nicely and the upper arms are isometrically coming together, and you can feel the abdominal core drawing in. Very nice. And then slowly let the knees touch the floor on the exhale. Again, find your inner hands as you begin to inhale and lift the heart. Little modified upward facing dog. And as you exhale, taking the abdominal core muscles right inward towards the spine. Come on back with hips towards the heels. This time, your elbows will not be touching the floor. When you get into the full expression of the pose for your body, your hips have gone back as far as they can. Just pause for a moment, relax any tension in your neck, press a little more as you inhale into the right hand, and just ever so gently look towards the left. Lovely. And on your next inhale, you're going to look forward, or rather to the center, and then slowly press into the left hand, and you're looking under your right armpit chest. Lovely. And then release. And slowly you can come onto the tops of your feet. And as you exhale, you're going to trace back with your hands, nice firm core, little rounding in the spine as you come into a kneeling position. And from this kneeling position, I want you to tuck your toes under and just see if you can sit here for just a moment. Little stretch in the toes now. Just have a couple long, slow breaths if you can. If it's really excruciating, you know, of course, you can come off that just a little bit. But just see if you can stretch your feet just a little bit. And from here, come back into the tabletop position. And we're going to curl our toes under if they're not already in that position, and come right back into downward facing dog. Lovely, very nice. And in downward facing dog, just like before, we're coming into the plank pose. Just hold your plank pose if you can for just a couple of breaths. And then place your left knee down and turn your left shin out just a little bit. And let's come on up into a little bit of a stretch where it's a version of gate pose. You can line up that right foot with the left knee as much as you can, and then raise that right arm over above your head. And then see if you can really enjoy the full side body stretch by allowing that arm to go a little bit more parallel with your ear. Very nice. And then just windmill down. Let's come on back into your downward facing dog and into your plank pose. And same thing on the other side. Just drop your right knee. The right shin can come out to the right just a little bit, and you're just going to lift up into a gate pose. Raise that left arm headward, or rather skyward, and then as long as everything feels okay, Then you can come into the full side stretch by letting that left arm just come more parallel with your ear. And release, windmill fashion, lovely, very good. And again, coming back into a downward facing dog. Beautiful. And from here, let's go ahead and tuck into a little bit of a kneeling position with our feet under. And we're going to come to standing. Can you come into a squat first? And just pause here just for a breath or two. And just let your calf muscles and your Achilles tendon, let it get used to this little squat and stretch. And then as you're ready, we're all going to lift ourselves up to standing. So coming on up now, just find your best Tadasana. You want to feel the pressure downward in the feet, of course, and against that downward pressure, there's where you find the length in the spine. And just have a moment just to come home to yourself here, placing hands to the heart, lowering your eyes, and just having 3 long, slow breaths here. And just in your own time, when you feel ready, let's just have a little breathing vinyasa. As you exhale, you're lowering the hands. As you inhale, you're turning the palms outward and raising the arms right up over the head. And really feel that length. And as you exhale, hands come together back down to the heart. And just keep going. As you inhale, right back to the sides of the body, so you can inhale up. So it's just a big circle with your arms. And as you exhale, those hands fold over your head, come right down to the heart. They just pause for a moment. You continue the exhale all the way down. Just encourage that exhale to get longer, the inhales to get longer. One more time, exhaling down, hands all the way down the midline of the body, right past the heart, continue on to the navel. When the arms get to the sides of the body, you separate the palms outward and inhale the arms right up over the head again. This last time, as you exhale, you just lower the arms to the sides of the body, out to the sides and down. Lovely. And then let's all come to the very tops of our mats. Hands to the heart. As you exhale, arms come down. As you inhale, you breathe the arms up. We're going to go so slow. As you exhale, you're going to swan dive to the floor. And as you inhale, you're just lifting the heart just a little bit, straightening the legs only if you can. As you exhale, a little bend in the knee, lowering the bums, bringing the hands and feet more in alignment with each other, and just step back with the right leg. And there you are in a high lunge. From your high lunge, just lower the right knee to the floor. See how that feels. All is well. You're going to come right up onto the knee with those interlocked hands. I really want you to feel the pressing down of that right knee into the floor. So of course you might need some padding under the knee if you're on a hard floor. What I want you to be able to feel though is a connection where you really feel the reaction of the very top of your thigh around your hip joint when you press into the knee like that back knee. And get as tall as you can. This might be where you need to pause, but if you can continue on your next exhale, you can lower the arms to the sides of the body. Just let your muscles hold everything as it is. And when you inhale, you're rising up. So feel even more of that length. Again, check in, make sure you're pressing down into the floor with that back knee. As you exhale next, just gracefully bring the hands to the floor. And then you can lift up with that back knee. Just make sure all that feels okay. Lean a little bit more into the right hand so you can inhale and come into a twist. That left arm goes up and you're pressing a little bit more back with the back heel. Just have a couple breaths. You're going so slow because you really want to thoroughly allow, with your presence, you want to allow the yoga movements to do their magic on your body. And it will affect your inner being as well. Exhaling, left arm comes down. And let's go ahead. The next exhale, come back into a downward facing dog. Let the head and neck relax for a moment. Let's go ahead and inhale into the plank pose. Let's go ahead and bring our knees to the floor. Let's do a little upward facing dog now. So make sure you find your inner hands. And when you inhale next, you're really ready to press into those inner hands and lengthen the sternum upward as best you can. And you want to bring those shoulders back behind you. And when you exhale, you want to really feel that abdominal core drawing in, carrying you back safely into downward facing dog. And so I like to give you a choice here. We're going to come back to a point of standing, but you can choose either the old familiar way of bringing the leg through, or if you'd like to just take a little walk, legs to the top, that's absolutely fine. We're all going to end up in a forward bend. And then let's exhale, release over. Bend the knees quite generously so you can feel the heels pressing into the floor as you sweep up on your next inhale. And exhale, close with hands to the heart. Have a breath and let's continue on with the other side. So you're exhaling, lowering those folded hands to the sides of the body. Palms turn outward. As you inhale, breathe the arms up. And as you exhale, come on into the forward bend. Inhaling, lifting your heart. And exhaling, make sure you have the bend in the knee. Make sure you feel your abdominal core drawing in. Hands and feet line up and you step your left leg back. And there you are in the high lunge just for a moment, and then you can set the back knee down. Just have a breath. And then bring your hands interlocked right behind that front knee. And again, this may be where you need to stay. If you stay here, you want to try to square your hips to the front, and you really want to feel the connection of that back knee pressing into the floor, and you'll feel that reverberation all the way up. If all is well and you want to continue, you're going to just allow those arms to come to the side of the body so you can inhale and sweep up. Reach up nice and high. And slowly on the exhale, bringing the hands and arms back to the floor, tucking the toes under and lifting back into your high lunge. So take a moment to form your high lunge, and when you're ready, you're leaning a little more into the left arm so you can come into the twist, bringing the right arm out to the side and up over your head. And have 2 or 3 breaths here. Remember to encourage that knee, the bent knee, to stay towards the midline of the body. Don't let it splay out. And releasing on the exhale, hand comes back down. And then you can exhale and come on back into your downward facing dog. Just take a pause, nice long slow breaths. Make sure your head and neck is relaxed. Next inhale, let's go come into plank pose. Make sure you're really secure with the arm and shoulder integration, core is strong, and those upper arms are isometrically coming together. And slowly on an exhale, let the knees come to the floor. You want to remember getting into that position where you can feel your inner hands. And then on the inhale, you're ready to come into your upward facing dog. And as you exhale, make sure you feel that abdominal core strength, bringing you back into downward facing dog. And so from your downward facing dog, you're either going to inhale the left leg back and sweep it forward, or you're just going to take a little walk to the top of your mat. And we're all going to end up in a forward bend, first raising the chest and then exhaling, coming into your full Uttanasana. Just have a breath or two and then begin to feel the rootedness of your feet onto the floor, bending the knees so you can come up with real strength as you inhale and come back up again. And just be here for a couple of breaths. You just had a little strengthening and flexibility exercise with just some of the movements of Surya Namaskar. Very good. I'm just going to stand to the side. I'm just going to do just a little exercise that I just want to say that if you have any knee issues, you might want to give some of this a miss. It's going to be just a little short prelude into chair pose, okay? So from here, as you inhale, raise the arms up. As you exhale, just like you know how to do a normal, just coming into a forward bend. Hands have to touch the floor. And from here, go ahead on your next exhale and bend the knees and bring your hips all the way down towards your heels into a squat. Once there, as you inhale, you're going to come right up onto the tippy toes and raise your knees towards your chest. Lower your chin towards your chest. Lovely. And then on your next inhale, you're coming out and slowly lifting to a half forward bend and exhaling into your full forward bend. Just a little practice here. As you inhale, lift the heart. And the next inhale, lower all the way down, hips towards the heels. And just keep going. Knees are trying to curve right in towards the chest and armpits as you come onto the tippy toes. And then you're exhaling. Roll the feet back onto the balls of the feet as much as you can. And then on the inhale, press into the balls of the feet and lift back up into a half forward bend. Full breath here. And on your next exhale, coming onto the tippy toes a little bit, back down, sink back into your squat, and bring those knees nice and high up into the chest as you come right up onto the tippy toes. Let your tailbone point down and the chin come towards the chest. And then feel yourself rolling on to the balls of the feet on the next exhale, so that you're ready on the inhale to press into the balls of the feet and come up into a half forward bend. Lovely. And then bend the knees and just slowly on the inhale with strength, just come into your chair pose. So you're raising the arms, keeping the knees a bit bent, and coming up into the pose of Uttanasana or chair pose. And what you want is to feel as though you're reaching, the palms are towards each other, but the thumbs are maybe spinning outward a little bit. Hold this pose just as long as is comfortable, maybe 3 or 4 breaths. On your next inhale, when you need to come up, you're just going to inhale right back up to extended mountain and exhale, arms to the sides of the body. And just bring hands to the heart and just have a couple of breaths. And let's repeat that, and we'll just do a twist on either side if you'd like to keep going. So we'll repeat chair pose, we'll just come into it from a different way. So releasing the arms to the sides of the body as you exhale. As you inhale, raise the arms straight up. As you exhale, bend the knees and sink into your most comfortable chair pose. So you want to allow yourself to come as low as you can without doing yourself causing any discomfort in the body. Lovely. And slowly from this chair pose position, as you exhale next, just bring your hands folded to the heart, keeping the legs exactly as they are. And on your next exhale, you're going to hinge at the hip and come into a forward bend. Again, keeping the legs bent as they are. All the way, maybe your forearms or elbows can touch your thighs. As you inhale, you want to find a little more length in the spine. So get a little bit longer from tailbone to crown of the head, so that when you exhale next, you can bring the left elbow over towards your right knee and do a little bit of a twist here. Just a breath or two. When you're ready to come out, you're just going to let that elbow just slide in front of the knee. Come back to center. Let your arms, you can let your elbows or forearms rest on your thighs if you'd like. Next inhale, you want to find a little bit of length in the spine, so that when you exhale next, you can just come on over to the left. This time the right elbow is going to hook on the side of your left knee, and you're going to attempt to come into as much of a twist as your body wants to today. So for me, that often means pressing my hands together and trying to get my elbows stacked up on top, one on top of the other. And when you're ready to let go, it's on an exhale. You're just going to let the elbows slide in front of that knee, coming back to center. And remember, when you inhale, lean back into your heels, lift your heart, and then you can come up nice and safely with the strength in your legs. And exhale, fold hands to the heart, lower your eyes, and just be here for 3 long, slow breaths. And just go inward and see what's happening in the body. Lowering the hands to the sides of the body. And we'll all come back down to the floor now. So we're coming down into the floor into a kneeling position. And some of you will be best served by having a yoga brick, sitting on it like a saddle, or maybe even a folded blanket. If you can just come and kneel on the floor, that's fine. But if you do need just a little boost under your hips, don't hesitate to do that. Just make sure you're comfortable. We won't be here terribly long, but we're just trying to have a lovely little stretch in our quads after what we've done. So this may be enough for many of us. If it doesn't feel like it's quite enough for you and you can go back a little bit, then I invite you to do that. So all you're going to do is bring your hands behind and separate, have a couple fists, maybe width between your thighs. And just lean back as far as you can. And the idea is, what you're trying to do is feel the stretch in your quads without causing any pain. And I hesitate to use the word discomfort, because if your thighs are not used to being stretched, it might not be very comfortable. So here's where your internal sort of awareness really needs to kick in, because you need to find the point where you can have a lovely stretch without going too far. So I can feel the soles of my feet with my own palms, the palms of my hands. And so I've got those hands pressed into my feet. And that's about as far back as I can go. Now, some of you may be able to go further, and of course, some of you not as far as that. So I want you to find your sweet spot and just play with this just a little bit. And when you find it, I want you to have 3 really long, slow breaths. So find exactly what you need here. And just be with yourself for those 3 long, slow breaths in the maximum pose for yourself. And this is called Hero's Pose. I just feel everything that's happening in your body. Just open up to it all. And when you've had enough, you're going to come out nice and slowly. You can come out by just walking onto your elbows and then your hands, or if like me, your hands are pressed into the soles of your feet, you can press there and bring yourself on up. Just take your time nice and slowly. We're going to segue onto our backs now. So stretching your legs out, coming right onto the floor. And from here we'll have just a little fish pose as a counter pose for some of the things we've done. Fish pose, your legs need to be extended and your toes sort of pointing out. You're going to put your elbows really close in towards your waistline and anchor a little bit of weight right into those elbows. Your forearms and hands are pointing straight up towards the ceiling. So the idea in fish pose is eventually, as you inhale, you're pressing right into those elbows and you're lifting the heart space. So it can be, you can hold it continuously, or if it doesn't suit your body to hold it, you can just come in and out. So that as you exhale, you're releasing it. And when you inhale, you're lifting the heart space again. So if you are releasing and lifting, you can do that for a couple of minutes and it would be fine. If you're holding, you just want to be careful and just really keep your awareness full on to see what's happening. Some of you may be able to do a more advanced version of fish pose, in which case you need to bring your arms right up underneath your body, roll on, and the hands are palms up somewhere around your buttocks or your thighs, and you really want to get those elbows right up underneath you. Your shoulder blades are really close together. And just this in and of itself will open the front and top part of your chest. But you can go further by inhaling, pressing into the elbows. And as you lift your heart space, you're trying to come onto the crown of your head a little more. So for some of you, this will be your fish pose. And you can tell, you'll be able to tell right away that it's quite a bit more intense. And whichever version you've chosen to be in, you want to make sure your breath can be long and slow. If you feel like you're gasping, then this fish pose is just a little bit too strong for you. And when you've had enough, you want, as I said, at least 3 to 5 breaths. But when you've had enough, you're going to slowly come on out of fish pose. Bend the knees. And widen just a little bit the feet away, maybe just hips width or a little bit wider. And then just let your knees go side to side as you breathe. You're exhaling to the side, inhaling to the very center. Just like that. And just let your breath come into a nice, comfortable rhythm. Nice, long, slow inhales and exhales. Lovely. And then the next time your knees are to center, you want to walk your feet closer together again. I'm just going to do a little spinal twist now. So, and this version of spinal twist, we want your heels a little closer in towards your hips, or as close as is comfortable. And go ahead and place your arms right now to that shoulder height position. And you want to feel as though you can feel the point of contact of the inside of your knees and your thighs and your ankles. And then just slowly on an exhale, you want to stack, eat the top leg on top of the bottom leg, and just come over as far as is comfortable. And you really want, as you're coming over to the right, you really want to reach with the left arm, and that will encourage the spinal twist. And just come as far as you can. When you reach that limit, just pause and breathe nice and slowly. You remember, in a twist, it's really easy to lock out your breath. So you don't want to do that. You want to mindfully find the space internally to let that breath in. And again, after maybe 4 or 5 breaths, you'll be ready to come out. With your head looking up to the ceiling, just let the upper leg come off first, and then the lower. And maybe just a little movement when you're at center, just swaying a little bit side to side. And then establish the position again where you can go over to with the knees to the left now, or to the opposite side, what you've just done. And remember, you want to feel the point of contact, ankles, inner knees, and as much of your thighs as you can. And it's on an exhale that you take it on over to the left. And as you're doing that, you want to reach with the right arm a little more. So as far as you come is okay. You're just allowing it. You're not forcing it. Just gently turn your head in the opposite direction of your knees and just have a few breaths. And you're being really patient with your breath, and you're finding those little internal nooks and crannies that often get overlooked with the breath. So bring that breath right into the dark places inside. And just decide when it's time for you to come out, and when you do, you're going to look up to the ceiling, and you're just going to let the upper leg come off first, and then the lower leg. And separating the feet just a little bit now. Bring one knee and then the other knee towards the body, towards the chest, and just hook with your wrists and hands nice and loosely. And just have a few breaths where you're exhaling. Those knees are coming closer into the body. You may be flexing the feet a little bit and then releasing away. Just a few breaths like that. Remember, it's on the exhale, the knees come closer in and you flex your feet. And it's on the inhale that you just let go. And here's the point where you can just do any further little pose or stretch you would like. Whatever you'd like to do is absolutely fine. Any little movement that feels good to you now. And it's all with a view to come into a really comfortable Shavasana. So just let yourself settle nice and slowly into the final relaxation. And once there, just allow the body to really surrender to the floor. So you immediately feel yourself just going heavy and just getting as still and relaxed as you can. And as the body gets heavier and heavier with every exhale, see if you can lengthen those exhales just a little bit. So without efforting a lot, just imagine that your exhales are going longer than your inhales. And just allow the lovely feeling of surrender to come over your body as the breath remains long and slow. And your choice now is to remain in Shavasana for as long as you'd like, or you can close out with me if that's what you prefer, your choice. So if you are going to close out, you'll need to make your way to a seated position. So if you have come to that seated position, just still be really gentle with yourself and just allow yourself to move nice and slowly. And as you come to the seated position, you're just opening your eyes, letting your eyes focus, come back into focus nice and gently. And for those who are closing out with me, just hands to the heart. Namaste. My thanks to all of you, and I'll see you in the next video.